Okay. Let's jump back in. Right, so clearly some time has passed since I actually paused the game. Yes, I definitely did. There's quite a it's quite an infamous. I suppose it would almost be a meme these days, where if you tell Kepura Gebora, which I believe that's how you pronounce his name, the name of the owl. If you tell him, no, I didn't get all that, he just repeats everything he just said in exactly the same way. And it doesn't give you any more context, so yeah, that can get quite irritating. I'm for the sake of just keeping the playthrough like relatively speedy. I'm not gonna listen to Navi every time she says hey, because she will just go on for ages. These are Stalfos. They can be. I don't know. They're not even really much of a hindrance, to be honest, because they're pretty easily dealt with, and it's kind of annoying because they keep coming up. They only surface at night, and only while you're in Hyrule Field. So this is Hyrule Field. It's the largest area in the game. There are several different sites that you can go and see. Obviously, for the sake of the story, I'm going to go straight to Hyrule Castle, which has literally taken me like 2 minutes. But you can see there's a mountain over there that has a very distinctive ring around it. The sun's coming up now. There is what appears to be a kind of farm over there. That's a ranch that we'll go and see in due time. And here we have Hyrule Castle. Just in case you're playing through for the first time, the gate to Hyrule Castle and Hyrule Town only opens during the day. During night time, it's closed. There is a very particular reason I'm climbing up this this chain, is because there are some hidden rupees up here. There we go. That'll do me for now. Just wanted to give myself a bit of a buffer when it comes to rupees. Alright. So we're going to see the princess. And that's where this fateful owl that we met has directed us to go. And as you can see, the Hyrule Market Town is pretty busy. I do understand that in this particular part of the game there is a very special rendering method they use, so that the environment follows you around in a very complete circle here. I don't know the exact technical ins and outs, but I remember it being quite interesting when I heard about it at the time. These guys are fucking weird. Run through the map. Now that's a big clue. Obviously, the more context you get about the environments you're going to be entering into, the better. So there's a small drain. That's useful. This couple. I recognise them. They will just keep spinning. I don't know how they're doing that, considering that his legs aren't even moving. Unless she's spinning around and he's just standing on her feet. I don't know. That's a bit weird. One thing we should do, if I've got enough rupees, I think maybe I need 80. I can't remember. But if you enter the bazaar here, oh yeah, it is 80. Damn, I need more money. We'll leave that for now. That's not desperate if I get that right away. So what else can we do? Let's speak to this little girl here. Ah, that must be the ranch that we saw outside. Okay, so her dad's run off and hasn't come back. One thing that I've just realised about these two here is that they kind of remind me of Terrence and Philip from South Park, if anyone remembers the earlier seasons. I mean, they even move like them. Look at them. Yeah. Okay. You can see a vaguely castle-like structure in the distance there, so let's go this way. It loads the Hyrule Field music. And yeah, here he is. The Owl of 1,000 Words. No, I definitely do not. So you don't get any direct context about why Gabora is really even in this game, to be honest. Again, he's mostly just a game mechanic that gives you some direction. Also, it did take me a while to realise in my first playthrough that vine actually existed and that you could climb it, by the way. There is a guard that is overlooking this gate here, and I believe you can bribe him. From what I remember, you can bribe him to let you pass, just by saying, "Oh, you know, I'm a big fan of Zelda. I want to meet her because the princess is famous and she's essentially one of the few really famous people in Hyrule." But we can just run over because we can climb vines. I obviously I've memorised the exact route that you're supposed to take, so it'll be very embarrassing right now if I get caught by guards. But yeah, they're pretty idle. They don't disturb you too much. And obviously, following in the vein from that vine I climbed, I can see that there's some stone steps here. I actually don't know, to be honest. I've played through this game so many times, but I don't know if there's another route to take. Whether this is the only route that I'm taking at the moment or not. This is the route that I've always taken, and it's always been pretty direct, so I've never really needed to experiment with anything else. I think if you just try and run behind these guards, they will catch you, from what I remember. I can't remember, but to be safe, I always just jump in the moat. Plus, you can get a few rupees on the way. There we go. Okay. So yeah, we're going to meet the princess, and the Deku Tree. Interestingly enough, the Deku Tree called her the. Oh, I've just realised what I've done here. Alright, it's good for the story, but I've realised I've come here without key items that I needed to advance. So Okay, so this must be Malon's dad, because she said that he went to the castle and yeah, there's no moving him. The two guys, Terence and Philip, at the market square, did mention that there was a small drain that they entered, so that's clearly where I need to go. I need to get into that slot somehow, but no, I'm not going to get there without moving this guy somehow. Oh my god, like, who snores like that? Jesus. Okay. Right, clearly we need to find some way out. In fact, now I think about it, if I remember rightly, I think you do have to come up here and find Malon's dad, and then come back. I think that's right. Oh, okay. Malon's moved. Well, he definitely did. Okay. A weird egg. I always thought it was funny that they named it Weird Egg rather than just, you know, she entrusted you with a you know, an egg. You had to use that adjective of all possible adjectives. Okay. And we're going to take the same route again, because these guards are so incompetent that they don't ever move their positions. Yeah, so the Deku Tree called her the Princess of Destiny, which I always thought was interesting because it's not really as far as sort of sobriquets go, as monikers go. That's not really a name that's attributed to Zelda. As far as I know, in the rest of the game, or even in any other Zelda game, she's never referred to as the Princess of Destiny ever again. So I assume that was just kind of, you know, the writers taking liberty and just basically trying to make it sound quite fanciful, I guess. But yeah, I always thought that was interesting, that your first mention of Zelda is in that manner, but I suppose it's just to kind of build your sense of wonder at who this princess might be when you meet her. And look onto the start screen now. Oh yeah. Okay, so the again, trying to get used to these controls. The egg has hatched into a chicken. Because clearly that's, you know, the only time that it can possibly do that is when dawn breaks. But yeah, we can now equip the chicken as an item. That's interesting. Now this took me ages the first time. You have to actually target Talon and then use the chicken. I tried to just use the chicken in front of him and it wasn't enough. You have to target him for it to sort of activate. So he's awake. Yeah, I think that probably happened as well. This is a great scene. It's a bit of a shame that the scenery was clipped there. From my memory, the scenery isn't clipped in the standard N64 version, so this is probably just my emulator being a bit dodgy. It sometimes happens, but yeah, it's always a really funny scene watching Talon run off. you will come to see that Talon is actually designed on the appearance of what is arguably Nintendo's the only other more famous Nintendo character than Link. I'm gonna give you anything. Pretty basic puzzle. There are lots of these sort of block shifting puzzles in the game and indeed throughout the series. Okay, so where are we now? Castle Courtyard. Can I enter through this door? No. This is literally just scenery. Seems like a bit of a oversight on the part of the developers here, but yeah. Okay, so you can't go through that door, but these guards are a little bit clever than the ones more clever than the ones outside because this one's moving. Now I could risk it and try and grab that red rupee, which is worth 20. But I'm not a massive fan of trying to get around this bit, so why not? Let's give it a go. Ooh. There we go. Alright, that's fine. Oh, that was pretty redundant. Ooh, can I from here? Ooh. There we go. I wasn't sure whether that first guard was going to see me, but yeah. Okay, so we made it through. Where are we going to end up? Interesting. Okay. So Zelda's protection is not really that sophisticated when you think about it, considering she's a princess. I have equipped the slingshot for a very particular reason here. There's a pretty well-known Easter egg that if you look through this window, you can see Mario, Daisy. I think from different angles you can see. Oh yeah, Yoshi is there as well. If I can move it, so you can see. Yeah, Yoshi's there, and I think Bowser's on the other side. Yeah, Bowser and Luigi as well. So yeah, you got the whole Mario crew there. It's yeah. If you hit Mario with a slingshot, he gives you 20 rupees, which is kind of him. Thanks for helping us out, Mario. It's nice that he can do that, like, in between universes, essentially. Okay. Never actually taken a look around. Okay, yeah, there's some crenellations and stuff, but there's nothing really ornate up there. So, who is this? with ease. Yes, I do. She's being very forward for someone we've just met. The Ocarina of Time. Okay. You can say no here, but there's no way to advance the story without eventually saying, yeah, okay, I'll look through the window. So there's no point in me really trying to fight that. You can be as obstinate as you want. You still have to advance the story. I don't believe you. It makes me laugh that they put in that option in there. Just completely ruins the tone of her rhetoric and everything. So we do learn what the contents of the letter are, and in quite funny circumstances as well. Okay. So quite a lot of story there. Some of it which I think deserves some reflection, just because we're kind of analysing the story as we go. So one thing I wanted to touch upon is that in watching that again is that prophecy plays a pretty heavy role in the beginning of this story. I think, obviously, for setting up the main drive, it makes a lot of sense that prophecy has quite an extensive role. It seems that the Great Deku Tree was aware that Link, as the one Kokiri without a fairy, was one day going to become important, and he seems to know that when he was cursed, when the man in black armor, Ganondorf, entered the Kokiri forest and placed that curse on him, he seemed to know that Link had a particular part to play in events to come. It was more than just a feeling. He seemed to know something, and have a certainty about it. And now Zelda has been having dreams, much in this, quite interestingly enough, very similar dreams to what Link was having at the beginning of the game, where she has begun to realise that there is a lot at stake when it comes to this man that seems to be, well, she's pretty certain that he's seeking the spiritual stones, and from what we've learned from the Deku Tree, that also seems to be the case. This is Impa, who becomes a recurring character in later games. So Impa believes in the princess wholeheartedly. Seems to trust her judgment. Okay, now we need to play this song on the ocarina. And we've learned our first song. This will be the first of many. I think every song you learn in Ocarina of Time has its own charm. It's one of the great aspects of it. So we get a shortcut out of the castle. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention, just again based on what our conversation with Zelda brought about. The other thing was that she seems to have quite in-depth knowledge about the goddesses and the way in which the Triforce was formed and about the Sacred Realm. The Sacred Realm is again one of the facets of the story of Ocarina of Time that absolutely fascinated me when I first played this game, because it is an enigma from beginning to end. It's not something that's ever really defined. It's very sort of ethereal. It's not. It's very intangible. And, you don't get a sense of what it is at any point. But it's spoken of with as though it's the most important thing, that protecting the Sacred Realm is in a sense the key to protecting the Triforce and keeping it from Ganondorf's clutches. So, that was something that always fascinated me whenever they mention the Sacred Realm, because they don't really give it too much context or clarification. But we can assume that the Sacred Realm is presumably is a physical place. I can tell you that it's not somewhere that we can visit. It's not somewhere that Link can ever go in this game, at least. It's interesting that Zelda also knows quite a bit about the nature of what would happen if someone were to obtain the Triforce, and the idea being that if someone righteous were to receive it, it would bring good omens upon the land. But if someone with a cruel heart were to obtain it and use it for more sinister, selfish purposes, then the land would fall into chaos. And I think that's clearly why the Deku Tree has set us on this mission. It's because he knows that if Ganondorf ever manages to enter the Sacred Realm and obtain the Triforce, then Hyrule will be left to waste, essentially. I thought it was interesting as well. Another thing that I wanted to comment on is that Zelda said that if we don't stop Ganondorf, then he won't just rule Hyrule, he'll rule the whole world. Something that I've not really from what I remember, I don't think I've ever seen that in another Zelda game. I've played almost every Zelda game except some of the peripheral ones, the sort of like more non-canon ones. From what I remember, you don't really you don't really explore much of a world outside the world you're in, or even really talk about it. So, for her to say, the world, as in something that's larger than Hyrule, is somewhat unheard of compared to other Zelda games where the worlds are very clearly defined and usually set to be with wherever you're in. If you're in a world that isn't Hyrule, often you'll hear references to Hyrule. Like for example, I think some of the Game Boy Advance games, Oracle of Seasons and Ages, and I think maybe even in Termina you get references to Hyrule. But for the most part, the world consists of the place that you're in at the time. So it's interesting for me to hear her talk about a wider space other than Hyrule at this stage. I've equipped the Hylian Shield because we will need this for the coming journey. There's nothing in Kakariko I particularly want to do. Again, trying to do this as a slightly more speedy walkthrough. So you do need the Hylian Shield, and you do need the letter from Zelda, obviously. Do I want to collect the cuckoos now? No, I think I'll probably be good. I'll probably be good as I am. So let's speak to this guy. If we give him the letter from Zelda, brilliant. shouldn't have called him Link. I should have called him Mr. Hero, and then that becomes his name throughout the rest of the game. That would have been great. Way ahead of you. Yeah, you can get a discount if you go back. They have kind of programmed that into the game, but it's not worth my time to do that really. I think you only save something like 20 rupees. Okay, so we have access to Death Mountain. And obviously at this point in the game you're not really introduced to some of the other races in the game, so, you know, Impa says the Gorons live there, and you're thinking, what's a Goron? And trust me, when you see a Goron for the first time, you'll know it's a Goron. Just put it that way. Quick fact, random fact, these are called Tektites. I'm pronouncing that right. Tektite, yeah. And from what I remember, the only sort of definition for a Tektite is, I think it's something like it's something to do with the texture of meteors or something like that, or it's the kind of the material that you can find on the surface of like meteors or something like that. I remember that. I remember hearing that fact somewhere. Should be concentrating on this fight. Okay, so there's a boulder here and a heart piece. Heart piece up there. Whoa. As I said, you'll know a Goron when you see it. Dodonga's cabin. Well, we know who that is. Well, Ganondorf is really getting around, isn't he? He's managed to put a curse on the Deku Tree. He's blocked this cavern that's important to the Gorons with his magic. And at the same time, he's sort of, you know, trying to pledge his fealty to the king, which is obviously not genuine, as far as we're led to believe. Is this guy going to hit me? No. Okay. There's one quick little trick I want to try and do here, just to show off a little bit. You're not supposed to be able to get this heart piece that's down here until quite later in the game, actually. But you can, if you're good with the controls, which I'm not, because this is not native to me. There we go. You can just backflip off of that and get the heart piece. I always enjoy doing that. Okay, and then we'll just make our way back up again. Obviously, this is a not a static area in terms of the passage of time. So, you know, night and day will pass naturally here in a number of different places they won't. For example, when you're in Kokiri Forest or Goron City, where we're heading to now, time won't pass. But when you're out and about, it will. I do love this music. So, I remember this place as being pretty difficult to navigate in terms of where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do a lot of the time. I don't remember why. I know it's relatively easy, but for some reason I always forget. So, Goron seems to like rolling around and crashing into stuff, by the sounds of it. What's this guy got to say? No, just my controller being dodgy again. Is he just gonna... Yeah, he just gets up, sits down as much as he pleases. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Darunia. Oh, okay. We'll come out. Okay, so basically, no one's really very happy by the looks of it. The city's kind of sealed off. There's hardly anyone here for a start. Ah, okay. This is interesting. Now, the royal family's messenger. Well, that's me. That's Link. So, I always thought it was interesting. You don't really get. Oh, there it is. Yeah, again, I think that's the emulator that's not really showing you the carpet there until you actually analyze it. What you're supposed to do is indicate, essentially, that you are a messenger of the royal family. And considering that Zelda's lullaby is passed down through the generations and is symbolic of the royal family, let's see if that has any impact. And the carpet magically appears in that angle and then disappears again. Okay, wow, this guy looks pretty tough. Oh, and he speaks about himself in the third person. That's never a good sign. Okay. Help from strangers. So we need to convince Darunia that we can help him. That he does need outside help because Gorons are having some trouble. So. What you need to do, if I remember rightly, And this is slightly more technical. I think this is probably one of the first areas where people might get stuck for quite a while, and will maybe turn to a walkthrough for some help. But you have to find a way to use the teleportation in this area to get to an area called the Lost Woods, which you can access from the beginning of the game. You can access the Lost Woods from within Kokiri Forest, but we need to entrust the help of a friend. And if I remember rightly, I think if you leave the area now, he does tell you, you know, maybe Saria can help. And that's what we're going to try and do. We're going to try and enlist Saria's help. We can't do anything there. If only I could remember. Oh! We're going to have to try and get out of this guy's way. Oof, on the side. There we go. There's definitely a torch or something somewhere. Again, like I say, it's been a number of years since I played this, so... You'll see that you can hear a very different set of music. And that should be a fairly strong hint that you know, there's something special behind those rocks that you need to obtain. So again, let's go upstairs. I seem to think that this is where the spiritual stone should be resting, I believe. Or I think this guy says. I don't know why he thinks I want to eat it. Just because Gorons are hungry all the time, I guess. Yeah, hungry all the time. Okay. Yeah, okay, so another hint that we need to use Zelda's. Ooh, Zelda's bye. Damn. But that was quite funny. Delicious looking redstone. Is this place open? Oh, this is the... Yeah, that's... Try crossing that pathway again, because I'm pretty sure that's where I need to go. Oh! Oh! Yes! God damn it. It's going to be the last place I look.
Many hours later.
Oh, of course. I'm an idiot. Okay. Fire. To anyone in the comments who's just kind of been screaming at me, like, Darunia's room. Yeah, my bad. My bad, I totally deserve that. Yes, yes, yes. those burning. Once a puzzle is activated like that, it means that the torches will continue to burn. So if you just swing your sword, it'll save you from losing any of your Deku 6. Yeah. So basically, as I said before, Navi is trying to give you a pretty big hint that you need to go and see Saria. These are bomb flowers, by the way. The Goron's special crop, as they call it. If I remember rightly, this shop doesn't really have anything that we can buy at this point. The only notable thing is that you can buy a Goron tunic. I was going to call it a red tunic, but it's a Goron tunic. Adult size. Oh, well, we can't use that. Shame. And, you know, considering that Link is Kokiri and never ages, then that adult size tunic is presumably never going to be of any use to us, so just ignore that. Fire. So basically the trick, now that we've... I kept thinking that I had to work from the upper part down, but you have to work from the base upwards with the fire. I think they just put the two there for symmetry, even though you don't really need them. But what we're trying to do is open this pathway, and the only way to do it is to use fire to set those bomb flowers off. And the way becomes clear. And this kind of weird screen shift there, that sort of symbolises that you're being teleported. Sacred Forest Meadow. No, for the third time, no. Again, exemplifying that courage is the key. Okay, I think I'm going to leave this play session here, just because it's past my bedtime and it's a school night for me. So, just to kind of again leave on some of the story points. Obviously, Darunia, he's a pretty surly guy. He's not very happy about seeing us, even though we are essentially the royal family's messenger. So, yeah, we're going to have to try and convince him that. You know, that we're the real deal, that we know what we're doing, and generally just try and put him in a better mood. So, you know, Navi is kind of giving us a pretty big hint that we need to go and see Saria, and considering the Lost Woods are quite related to Kokiri Forest, then you know, looks like we're in the right place. Cool. All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.